otherwise indicated, all the following scripture quotations are taken from the Holy Bible, New Living Translation, with copyright by Tyndale Foundation, used by permission of Tyndale House Publishers, all rights reserved.
Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm P.S I, and this is a mini applause for you. Why do you get a mini applause? Because you are quite simply amazing, and because you deserve it, and because you made it through yesterday and today, and since I faith that you're gonna make it through to tomorrow, why don't you just hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can be here when I post another video. Okie dokie, so today we're gonna talk about Bruno. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Whatever. It is what it is. It is extremely hot here tonight, and do not ask me why I am wearing a jersey. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna talk about Bruno. Bruno, so far, in my opinion, in like any Disney movie, has been the worst treated character, in my opinion, from like a writing perspective. So before we go on, I just want to pop a little warning over here. If you have not seen the movie Encanto, I highly suggest you give it a check out. It's chef's kiss, marvelous. It's absolutely wonderful, and it's a whole ride. I promise you. The visuals are great, the voice acting is great, everything is great. I just love Encanto. I love it so much, and I can't get over how wonderful it is, how phenomenal the movie is. So anyway, if you haven't watched it, I suggest that you watch that before you check out my video, because there will most likely be some spoilers, things that are maybe alluded to in the trailers but actually not in the trailers, and so you might not want to see that here or hear about it here. So please, if you have not seen Encanto, go ahead and check it out. Anyway, so yeah, talking about Bruno. Right, so Bruno is kind of, from like everything from the get-go, you are given the sense that Bruno is like the villain, right? In the song, we don't talk about Bruno. It's like alluded to the fact that he's some kind of bad guy, right? But if you take a look at the song's lyrics, there's lots of places where it seems like Bruno was kind of like scapegoated by everyone. One of the townswomen says in the song, "He told me my fish would die the next day dead." Another guy said something about like getting fat or whatever, and then he was like a handsome guy or something, and he talks about gaining weight, and Bruno gave him a vision that he would gain weight, and suddenly he gained weight. I wonder how that happened. But yeah, and so it seems to me like everybody is taking all of their problems and saying it's Bruno's fault. But Bruno's gift is to, it's like precognizance, like to tell the future. Bruno's gift is not to make the future. His gift is to tell the future. And it's like Bruno was just not treated very well in the Soul universe. And from the song especially, we don't talk about Bruno, especially from Camilo saying things like 7-foot frame, rats along his back, when he calls your name it all fades to black, kind of thing. You get the sense like, oh, Bruno is this dangerous person, what did he see and what did he do? But as you meet Bruno later on in the film, you get to see like he's just this kind of like eccentric, strange kind of guy, and he's a little bit like unsure of himself, like despite being sure of, this is actually a very good parallel, that despite being sure of the future, because he can see the future and he can see these visions, he seems very uncertain of himself and of his place. And I thought it was quite interesting how it seems that everybody, from the townspeople to his family, are just so ready to make him the reason for all of their problems, right? Pepper says that she was fine, and the wedding, the environment was lovely. And if you didn't know, Pepper's power is to, she controls the weather, right? So when she's upset or something, and then it starts thundering, and then it's lightning and hurricanes and all that kind of stuff like that going on. So what she says is that there were no clouds in the sky and everything was perfect, and suddenly Bruno says to her, I can't remember the lyric there, but he said something along the lines of, it looks like rain, right? I think she says that, Bruno says it looks like rain, and then she says, and suddenly he floods my brain. And I heard this like lyric and I was like, oh, that's really catchy. But then I thought about it and I'm like, wait a second. Bruno didn't say, oh, it's gonna rain and that's gonna spoil your day. He just said it looks like rain, and she was like, stressed out, and now suddenly it's his fault. In a sense, it's actually her fault, right? And so that whole song actually, despite the intention to make you feel afraid of like Bruno as a character, it actually just makes you think maybe Bruno's not so bad, and like everybody's like scapegoating him, which as you go through the movie is actually exactly what happened. Later on in the film, Mirabel confronts Abuela, and Abuela says that Bruno left or something like that because he didn't love his family, and Mirabel says Bruno loved his family, he really did. And so it shows me that like they don't really know Bruno, despite him being an integral part of this family. And interestingly, despite him having powers as well, they don't know him. They genuinely seem to be happy to be rid of him. They don't want to talk about his issue. I don't get the impression that everyone or anyone was in a hurry to find him when he went missing. They're just like, oh, Bruno went missing, so let's not talk about him. And I'm just like, what in the heck is going on here? Bruno was extremely mistreated, despite the fact that he has a power. It's just not a power that they want to use to their advantage. And I was like, whoa, this is really sad. Bruno's story is much sadder than, and it's so much sadder when you actually see that Bruno has, huge spoiler alert, Bruno's been living in the house. He's like inside of the house, just there, right next to his family, because he loves them so much, but he feels that his gift hurt them so much that he'd rather not be there. He'd rather witness them living out their lives from a distance, and that freaking breaks my heart, like absolutely breaks my heart. And so to see the redemption at the end, in the final song, I think the song is called All of You or something like that, and at the end Bruno actually apologizes to people for the things that he did. And I'm confused about this. So it's like, you saw things happening, why is it your fault? People took them in the wrong way, and people scapegoated him, and yet he still had to apologize and stuff. I don't understand why this was all his fault. But anyway, yeah, that's really how it went. But what's also interesting to note is that it seems like the family has a bad habit of scapegoating people for God knows what reason. But they scapegoat people. And when Bruno left, they scapegoated Mirabel. So I just don't understand why the family chooses this way to solve their problems. Or I don't even understand why this is the family's dynamic. And I think maybe it's a good idea to rewatch the film and take a look at it again with that fresh perspective, because Encanto is actually such a wonderful film, because there are so many things to get from it. From the first time you watched from Mirabel's perspective, to try and see what's going on there and why she doesn't have a power. And I've watched it twice already. So from the second time, you start looking for things, right? From the second time, I looked at it from the perspective of like all the secondary major characters, being like Mirabel's aunts and her sisters and cousins and that kind of thing, to see their pressure. And so from like the third time that I'm watching it, I'm really trying to look at Abuela and look at the dynamic between the whole family and why things are the way that they are, and why this behavior was okay to her, despite the fact that it is very clearly problematic to be blaming one person in your family for all of the family's problems. And I'm excited. I love Encanto, and so I will probably be watching it again and making another video or two just to expand on some theories and things that I've got going on. But anyway, if you have seen Encanto, what is your opinion? Please pop me a comment, and if you don't mind, I would love it if you could put a like on this video. And let's go to our scripture of the day. Our scripture of the day is from Jeremiah 14 verse 22, which says, "Can any of the worthless foreign gods send us rain? Does it fall from the sky by itself? No, you are the one, O Lord our God. Only you can do such things, so we will wait for you to help us." Oh, what a lovely scripture. It's a very good scripture. Except for in Encanto, paper can cause rain, so don't tell God, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate you being here. 102 videos. This is absolute madness. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. But thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a phenomenal day further because you deserve it. Bye.